Recording now. All right, stand by, Tom. We're going to you.
Welcome to Viva and Jerry's Country Music Videos, recently recalled or renamed Dogs Without Cabins. Actually, it's Dogs Without Story Arts Minnesota, Dogs Without Cheap Theater, Dogs Without Rain Taxi Twin City Book Festival, Dogs Without everything that we're used to doing live. And I tell you, it's just exasperating, at least for me, not to be doing things in front of an audience. So we're going to do it this way, at least for now. It's summer 2020 with a few people significant in the spoken word, poetry, essayist communities over the next couple of months. I looked up virtual because you have to look up everything nowadays, and I looked up virtual because I don't think I any longer know what it means. It used to mean sort of like, or kind of like, or almost like, but not by strict definition. And today, more prominently, it pushes up that it's part of the search engine optimization's effort to mean virtual reality, and we should buy that as reality. Curiously, if you look up the acronym SEO for search engine optimization, the first result you won't be the definition, it'll be the company peddling you the software. I hope to bypass a little, but maybe spoken word artists are always virtual anyway. Do we really say things as they actually are? I hope not. I hope you agree. And thanks for joining us today. First up is Mary Moore Easter, whose last book, The Body of the World, included just an extraordinary cycle, which I heard her read, of 15 sonnets about the terracotta warriors in China. And to hear her do it, and she won't be doing it today, she's going to be doing more recent stuff, is absolutely mesmerizing. She goes back to the earliest days of Patrick's Cabaret and many other things. It's a pleasure to have Mary Moore Easter.
Oh, yeah. Go right on in. Thanks, Mary.
It's great to be here at Dogs Without Cabins. Stiletto. Dressed up name for a shiv of a shoe that could take a heart apart on the right set of legs and throw an arch out of line all the way up a spine. Nothing like a galosh, though no one wears just one of those either. Both feet need the squash and swish of galoshes in splashes no stiletto would ever go. But then, even one galosh would never slosh the blood across the line of responsible response. The way red spikes to the heel of the heart would send the smitten into a frenzy. Where is it written that a woman or man in stilettos should be forbidden to plant a foot on any chest that lies prone in lust or envy? And sticking with shoes, in this pandemic, there's not a lot to look at except the stuff in your apartment, and this is called Confronting the Confined Closet. The shoes are angry. The boots, too. It's the damn crowding. Hardly a place to rest a soul without crushing someone's upper plate. And it's not all equal. The boots, banished to the back at the change of season, growl in the darkness, recall outings and admiration. The sheer utility of round toes, waffled-bottomed in snow. Or foreign leathers, slick as a waxed dance floor, cha-cha-cha. Now, dust and darkness, and the kiss of running shoes to the face. The runners, tongues hanging out from mild exhaustion, feel satisfied, if weary, despite complaints about their bulk in the mass. As if the slimness of high heels deserved the pedestal of their prongs. rode with their toes exposed, a hook to hang from. Display pretty. For all their presentation, when did they last spin or twirl? They're out of their time. Door shut, out of mind, empty of foot. Easy to envy their memories that wish for the sweet flish. Oh, okay. That wish for the fleet swish of leg above and slide of sizzled floor beneath. They've been kicked off in the best circumstances to lie on their sides, plush under the groaning bed. The boots can't claim such goings-on. Well, maybe the thigh-highs can. And the running shoes are meant for the sprint, not lollygagging and eavesdropping the rumpus. The kitten heels purr disapproval, turn up their flat bows and tighten their slings. Propriety is still a virtue. Every time the door folds back, light, air, escape. Suspense quivers sandal straps. Buckles huddle in winter's abandonment. When will they feel the ease of a freed foot? Today? The breeze among glitter, the preen of outfit completion in slivers of silver and bronzed gold. Why be packed here, chattering in the dark, at random price tags stuck under arches? Is it a done deal? Imprisoned by age's janky ankle, hammering toe, and fascia in need of constant comfort? What about freedom? Churning to the surface under every complaint, the force of desire erupts in triumph over common sense. Give in to patent leather T-straps and prance through the kitchen to the front door's barrier. With a tango turn and a boleo foot flare, retrace the only steps you can take. Wow, thanks a lot, you thousands of audience members. Payback. Well, I don't know if you say it, but we say payback is a bitch. And this poem, entitled Payback, Payback was born a bitch. She didn't just grow into it. Never anybody's tool. She was her own grown woman, sharp as the knife others carried for useless protection. She hung out in secret with cousin Karma, herself nicknamed Carmel, for when somebody mistook slowness for sweetness. Bided her time, laying in the cut. Ooh, you nasty girl. Until the swing of her terrible, swift sword. Sweet street girls, and why they have to give me their seat. That's on the bus or wherever. Not just grown. They show they were raised, slapped down and kneaded high as light bread. Praise of elders bred into speech and action. Mostly by mothers, in the shape of aunts, grandmothers, and the lady down the street when no one was home. They hold their raising close to their hearts, hard as the latchkey that bruised the breastbone, strong as the dirty string from which it swung. A good half of them and their kin. I should say here, you don't have to know Ernesto, who's named in this poem, but I do. Ernesto say, Corona don't play. No matter what you got or how you sway to the music to let your spirit slay the blue mood, lay it low. It'll take you down while you're counting your money. It'll take you down while you're trying to pay the rent, the bills, even when you know you have to stay home, stay in, wear your mask, and wash away every little crown that may have come your way on a friend, careless, forgotten 9 days ago, clinging to your coat, trailing from a hair he sneezed on from 3 feet away. Far, it seemed. He sneezed in his sleeve. Ernesto say, Rona don't play. Like she's from down the block, well-known boogie hanging around, invisible to the instinct for danger, ignored by the men on the park's court, thinking blackness excuses them. They already paid dues of every kind of dues. They don't hear Ernesto say, Rona don't play and dues don't matter. So it's a hard day to cluster and shoot the shit on a spring bench while the ball falls through the hoop, swish, loud in defiance of the cloud of their breath that could fell the half of them in 3 weeks flat. I inch near enough, but far enough away to say, we can't afford to lose all of you. Separate. And some few listen and leave air between them, coolness edging away for the coolest. They say I look good for my age, but I got an underlying condition called years and kidneys, no matter what they say. And Rona don't care about looking young when you're old. Maybe it's my gray hair that grandma-like is a thing to be heeded even when you think you don't need it. So they separate for today, and I go my way. Then the news hits about Idris and his infection. Little crowns in his system, not just the big one on his head. And an army of citron rise up. No, Rona, not this, not Idris, never this. So wild and roaring with grief that Ernesto say, Rona, you better watch your back, 'cause when the cistern mad with grief, they don't play. Okay. Okay.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
You're up, Tom.
Oh, okay. Well,
Beautiful, Mary.
thank you.
Just beautiful.
Thank you, Mary. To underscore the context just a bit, it is August 16th, 2020. Next up is Loren Niemi. When I first got here in the early 1980s, with not knowing anyone or connected with anything except my own unhappy life and no chance for any job anywhere, my sideways entry into the local arts community was via Milkweed Chronicle, Emily Buchwald and Randy Scholes, who let me illustrate some of the issues of that then excellent quarterly publication, which years later evolved into Milkweed editions. And one of the first events I went to with Emily Buchwald's daughter, Amy Buchwald, was an open mic at Butler Square where I first heard Loren Niemi. And it was interesting to me because I didn't know anything about storytellers. I didn't know anything about anybody doing anything here. And I certainly wasn't in the circles where you should be to meet those people, nor, by the way, would I go to those circles. And I heard Loren and I thought, my God, this guy owns this thing I didn't know about, storytelling. And since then, we've got to know one another, become friends. And what's so impressive, and I don't think he's most popularly known as a poet, he's a great poet. And that's astonishing as well. I mean, that you're also a great poet. It seems a bit unfair. But he's an educator, an author, a coach, and just a top storyteller, Loren Niemi.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Out of a sense of obligation, I am going to tell a story from this, What Haunts Us, which won the prize for sci-fi, horror, fantasy, and paranormal from the Midwest Book Association. And they asked me to do one of them, so I'm going to do one. Barbecue Bus. Out of a moonless night, 2 black buses came winding down the state highway. With dawn's first light, they pulled into a Walmart parking lot. They set up. The bays opened, and from out of the buses came 4 huge men, heads shaven, bodies oiled in their half-naked state, pulling great, huge cauldrons out of the bus bays, pouring what seemed to be bag after bag of charcoal, or maybe it was only one bag of charcoal per cauldron, and then lighting them up. A column of flame, a column of smoke, rising, rising, rising up. At 7 o'clock, they raked the coals from the mound into a bed and began to lay onto the grills meat. Here, pork ribs and half ribs. Here, beef, brisket, and short ribs. There, half and quartered chickens. And on the fourth grill, something unknown or unnamed. What it was or where it was from was not clear. But each man tended the grill. And from those grills, the smoke rose and the aroma rose and began to creep around town, testing every door and every window to see if it could find an entry. And inevitably it did. And as it found the entry, the sleepers, I won't say they awoke. What I will say is the sleepers got out of their beds in their various states, naked, semi-naked, in their jammies, left their houses, left their abodes, and began to go towards that parking lot. They began to assemble into lines without knowing, without speaking. Nothing was asked of them. They simply stood there and waited. From behind the smoked glass of the buses that had no chrome, that had no identification, no marking, black from side to side, from end to end, a voice shouted out. And the sleepers began to move forward. Each was handed a paper plate, and as they came to a kettle, the voice would say, pig, bird, beef, gift. And the sleepers would take the plate and go on and receive at the end a dollop of fiery sauce. There were no napkins offered. There were no utensils. There was no please. There was no thank you. There was nothing but the sound of people like carnivores eating flesh down to the bone and then sucking the bone clean. They would fall into a fetal position to suck the marrow. And when they were done, they would try to get back into line, but their stains gave them away, and they were turned off back. But then, a reprieve. The voice from the bus said, "You may eat again of the gift." And they all lined up, every one, to receive that mystery, that gift. It was amazing, for it seemed never to run out. No matter how many pieces were taken off the grill, there was always more. And no matter how many were eaten, there was always more. And as they ate, the hunger increased. When the sun reached the 6 o'clock mark, suddenly it was over. The men picked up the kettles and poured the coals, whitened, around a ring around each of the buses. Put the kettles back in the bays, went on board, and as the smoke rose up, it seemed that the buses left, not driving through the ring of fire, but into the ring of fire and disappearing. And the sleepers awoke to their shame and horror to see themselves and each other and to know that gnawing. And it was only then that the hunger truly came upon them, a hunger that could not be satisfied and would not go away. And then a song began, a tune as bitter as fate or any Greek chorus. It moved through the crowd like a virus until they were all singing. Now Ken and Barbie know their fate. looking at the sauce-stained plate. They'll never see paradise again now that they've tasted bone. Big ribs, real ribs, smoky ribs from the king of barbecue. Big ribs, real ribs, smoky ribs. A gift heaped upon the plate from the king of barbecue. Thank you.
Thank you, Loren. I'd be remiss in not right away thanking Hamill, Griffin-Cassidy, pre-production, post-production, behind the camera, and making us all seem brighter and more focused than I think we really are. And separately, if I forget to say this later, after today's show, buy your damn dog a cabin, you cheapskates. This is called Puppies and Daydreams Ignite. I nod a lot at work, though I don't know what for sure my nodding means. Maybe it's a lazy thumbs up. I'm walking to the copier, and I don't mean walking briskly, but walking with a hint of being harried. Not noticeably harried, but harried at the expected pace. Tito stands up in his cubicle several aisles away. He's a periscope from hell who catches my eye, and both of us nod because we know it's not the time or place for a full frontal thumbs up. It's not Miller time. Tito and I just didn't win a not cocky tournament. We're not sharing the care of giving at some god-awful event we have to go to and pretend we're thrilled because somebody else gets a gigantic check and we don't get paid overtime for going. We don't get squat. But if you don't want to be noticed, you attend the damn thing. You wag a few thumbs up and you stick to the script. But a thumbs up here and now across this field of dying souls when I'm walking to the copier would be noticed. I mean, we're not sharing any care around here, and it's not the weekly meeting where we all give a big thumbs up and then we stick it up our ass. If they notice something here, you get punished or promoted, which in this place are the same. I'm a good, reliable worker, nothing special. In the A-OK B student range, not B plus where they think you're promising, and not a C where they give you a pep talk and break a finger on your non-dominant hand. That's what they did to Tito. I try to be noticeable consistently so nobody notices, nobody will care when I take an extra 5 for lunch, fake a cough to leave a minute early, take stuff from the lost and found that isn't mine. I check it every day with an inconspicuous glance to see if there's anything good. And every month or so, I get a scarf, a pair of gloves, even Tito's fancy water bottle, and I take them home and I add them to the box my grill came in. It's a hope chest with the dials all stuck at low. And every time I add an umbrella or an earring, I wonder why I steal them. I'm never going to use them. I'm getting back at something I can't fight. I smile at work throughout the day, like it's my avocation, and believe me, it's not. The smile I wear at work isn't natural or happy, prompted by puppies or daydreams. It's a tight, efficient scar that you can't see. If you start looking happy or hopeful or under-harried or like somebody's home, you're going to be kidnapped, interrogated by the marketing goons who need ideas to trap more souls with lies that look like puppies or daydreams. They give you a Starbucks gift card and then they eat your brain and heart for lunch. I hold the front door for others, matter-of-factly. I leave the break room clean. I do not steal anyone else's lunch, except every couple of months I steal Tito's. I want to be unnoticed, like just the drop of a single degree, so I won't be noticed when I make copies of personal stuff, or I toss out papers with paper clips we're supposed to save, or secretly, after everyone has left this floor for the day, I post a flyer above the water fountain that says, "Workers of the world ignite." That's it, in its entirety. I want it to be noticed without a connection to me. When we clap at the weekly meeting, I'm never the first or last to clap, never the loudest or most insincere. When passed around, I take whatever piece of cake I get. I don't say, oh, it's too big, I'm on a diet. And when I have to speak, I do so in a monotone, without being clever or curious or worth speaking with ever again. Future interactions will be nods and slithering smiles. Though it only took a furtive second, someone, probably Tito, saw me put up the flyer and turned me in. I don't know why, I guess because I undernodded earlier. My smile was sharper than I thought. He must have been working late removing paper clips from papers. I'm called to the office of a cigar-smoking kid. He's had so many wrinkle tucks and eyelid jobs, he looks like he's made of wax. He says, I like this sign of yours. It's so dumb and nihilistic, it's refreshing. We've had our eye on you, you know, how hard you work at working just enough. You're an empathy-challenged, intentional slacker who embodies our 6-word mission, good enough to get by. So we've decided to give you a raise and put you in human resources. What do you think of that, oh worker of the world? Good enough to get by is only 5 words, I say. He looks shocked and shouts, already we're more efficient thanks to you. I ask him what my job is. He nods a nod he clearly learned from me. You're now the guy who gets to break the fingers of the fumbling. Your people skills will help them understand the first one on our team who needs inspiration is the guy who turned you in, Tito, the guy whose lunch you steal, the guy whose water bottle you took home. You have to tell him not to be a tattletale. You have to tell him not to notice anything at all. And by the way, you owe us for 15,000 copies. Ah, thanks. And another day at the job. Okay, just one more. I wrote this in 2001 when the dollar store opened in the basement of Southdale, and it was before there were any dollar stores, before there was Dollar General or Dollar Days or Dollar Craze or whatever the biggest booming part of retail remains right now. A recent article I read about the death of inner city groceries was with a grocer who said he had to pay more wholesale to get a can of Campbell's tomato soup, like $1.05, that you could buy at a dollar store, a bigger can for $1, because they make it explicitly, clearly, deliberately, because they can sell 20, 30 million cans of the stuff to the dollar store. So there's always another plot going on. The man who owns the dollar store in Southdale is friendly but wary. Maybe if kids who come before the movie to buy cheap candy pick up the plastic lightsabers and put them down just anywhere. Maybe he's afraid of looking Muslim. He has an entire aisle of plastic crosses, Virgin Mary holy candle, Bible coloring books, a placemat of the Last Supper so you can have that caption every meal at home. A calendar with Jesus saving that idiot kid flying a kite too close to Niagara Falls. I'd get it if he gave the kid a barrel. Maybe he's just afraid of this business not working, of not selling enough $1 hammers imported from the Philippines, land of steel, of not selling enough Garfield wrapping paper that didn't sell well at Hallmark for $2.99. He has cases of it that people probably overlook because they're so drawn to the Isle of God. Maybe you should rearrange every single dollar thing again and put the candy back by batteries, the Garfield paper near the Virgin Mary. I always buy a bunch of things because they're cheap and I don't need them. And it's smarter to do that here than elsewhere in the mall. I'm getting my daughter super sour chewing gum pebbles that come in a miniature paint can with a chewing gum pebble paint roller that was outlawed in Colombia, land of no outlawing bad products. I grabbed 2 rolls of the Garfield wrapping paper, cheap aluminum foil with a lid cutter that won't work. And though I'm not religious, I have 3 holy candles with saint decals to bless the moths before they burst into flame. Before I check out, I flip through the DVDs by the register. Every kind of copyright-free classic or crap classic you can imagine, from John Wayne as Genghis Khan to Lee Van Cleef as Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm so excited to find a copy of Cocaine Cowboys with Jack Palance and Andy Warhol that I say, this is great. And the man who owns the dollar store in Southdale says, yes, these movies are very good. I watch a lot of them. And his smile is so genuine that I decide against telling him about Warhol's Factory, The Silver Period, with Billy Name living in the darkroom. And instead I say, yeah, these films are great. And they have big stars, too. Not mentioning these DVDs are made for a nickel apiece in Korea, land of copyright law. At the checkout, the owner smiles and carefully wraps each $1 candle in $3 worth of tissue paper. He looks at the super sour chewing gum pebble paint can and does an exaggerated double take, like he knows what I'm talking about, even though I'm not saying anything. He comments that the Garfield paper is very nice. When he puts the DVD into my bag, he looks at me like his franchise or citizenship is still sinking in. He says, when I was a boy, I watched American movies all the time. But little did I dream, he says, looking at me like his own movie is about to get triumphant, that I would someday own a store and sell these very films. At home that night, I picture him in his dollar store, munching on potato chips best if consumed by last October, and proudly setting up a display of Jesus emblazoned back-to-school supplies from Jamaica, land of ganja. I look at my copy of Cocaine Cowboys that I'll never remove from the cellophane. I think of him putting the plastic lightsabers back where they belong, and I envy him his success. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Loren. Thank you, Hamill. And thank you for watching us, and we hope to see you again soon, live, in person. There's no such thing as virtual reality, is there? Oh, wait, this is it.
Oh, all right. Nice